Okay, good afternoon. It's a great honor to be on this panel with the Commission of Education, the Office of Science and Technology, and the Department of Education here in the Philippines. I really appreciate Andreas, who joined us by video link from Wales in Europe. It's very early in the morning over there, so I'm really grateful to his presentation today. When we look at our education, the world of education, the goal of education is to prepare our young people for the future, right? Especially for the future of work and to be great citizens and positive contributors in our world. But when we take a look at the world today, we are living in a world with the largest youth population ever, and most of that is in the global south. We have about 1.8 billion young people between the ages of 10 and 24. And in Uganda, actually, 78% of the population are young people. So the question we need to ask ourselves as educators is, what is the life prospect for these young people, right, who are in our schools and our classrooms? This is a tremendous opportunity in the sense that the number one resource of any country is its people, and particularly its young people. But it's also a critical issue as well. Let's take a look at the world of work and how it has changed from the 20th century to the 21st century. 20th century was very much characterized by the production line, but already, 16 years really into the 21st century, we have whole new industries. For example, what is the largest taxi service in the world, but it has no cars? Uber. What is the largest accommodation provider in the world right now, but it has no beds? Airbnb. What is the largest media company in the world, but it has no content? You're right, it's Facebook. And what is the largest store in the world, but has no buildings? Amazon. And it's not just these new companies, but traditional companies from the 1980s, 70s, 80s, 90s, such as Intel, Apple, and Microsoft, are completely reinventing themselves as we speak. What you're looking here on the screen here are the best places to work for in the world. This is a set of companies that are rated by the Great Places to Work Institute. You have companies crossing 14 different industries, from technology to healthcare to manufacturing to retailers, among others. So what is the trend in the current workplace? What we're finding out is that what employers are looking for and what is characterizing the modern workforce are qualities like collaboration and teamwork, problem solving, big emphasis on working with a purpose. We've actually transitioned from the knowledge worker to the relationship worker. That's happened since last year. Communication, creativity, community, ownership, leadership, engagement are now critical aspects of the modern workforce. This is a study that was done by the Economist Intelligence Unit on identifying the skills that are needed for students over the next 3 to 4 years. And this was a study that was done across 25 countries. It included business leaders, it included university students, teachers, and high school students. And this is what they identified: problem solving, teamwork, communication, critical thinking, creativity, entrepreneurship. Again, very similar things that you saw that is characterizing the modern workforce. However, when we look at the world of education and we look at how work is done in the 21st century, there's a mismatch. So For example, according to a Gallup poll, 96% of college and university chief academic officers claim that we're doing a great job at preparing students for the future. However, 89% of business leaders in a parallel Gallup poll said that today's college graduates do not have the skills, right, and competencies that they are looking for. So we have this disconnect going on. So what do we need to do then as educators? We need to actually transform education, which is the topic of this session here, so that our education is relevant in the 21st century, right? And that students who are graduating from our high schools, from our colleges, have the skills, the competencies for employment and economic development, for social and political stability, and also that they can actually be contributors to ethical societies. In Global Peace Foundation, we're making our effort here to tackle this issue through a program called the Character and Creativity Initiative. What this program is doing is that it's working to prepare well-balanced students for the future, transforming education in classrooms and schools that is aligned with the 21st century workplaces and the modern world. You know, often I travel the world. I was just in Kenya last week, and the world over, our education system, the actual system itself, is still stuck in the 19th century. The teachers and principals live in the 20th century, and our students live in the 21st century. So we've got this misalignment going on in schools. In the Character and Creativity Initiative, we have identified 5 key character and creativity standards that are essential for students and for schools to gain competency on. So these are character, creativity, purpose, relationship, and learning. And underneath each one of these are a set of 15 essential global competencies. So for example, under purpose, we want students graduating who are self-motivated, right? Who have a vision for their life, who are responsible and have a sense of ownership. And this is not just for our students. This is for the teachers, it's for the leadership team as well on the schools. When we look at on your far right, learning, right? We want students who have the competency of lifelong learning, self-motivated, right? Relationships, communication, it's critically important. Collaboration, be able to work with people from different backgrounds, not just physically but virtually. That's how work is done today, and so on. Very important is character, right? It's often missed when we talk about 21st century skills, but employers are looking for more than ever before people with integrity. They can respect others. When they hit difficulty, they have resilience to keep going, and also a sense of conscientiousness. Now, when you look at the right here, on your right-hand side, this is typically what you see in the world of schools and education today, a big focus on content strands, reading, writing, math, science, and now everybody's talking about technology. Technology is very important as a tool to solve our problems in the world today, but more vitally important are the intangibles of character, creativity, relationships, purpose, and learning. And in fact, it's these leadership standards that define by a factor of 80% how successful a person is going to be in life. So with that in mind then, educators, teachers, schools need new innovative approaches to nurture these leadership standards and skills in schools. So I'll just give you a few quick examples of what schools can do, right, to do this. First of all, shift the focus from cognitive-based education to experientially based education. where teachers, the leadership team, are modeling these competencies that we talked about. You cannot teach this in a class once a week, right? This has to be done experientially. We want organizational cultures that are engaging. And we want to actually raise up the total student. The total student comes from the total school. Teachers as transformational leaders who can instill values, inspire, be role models. Teachers who unleash creativity, right? Motivate learning and so on. We'd like to see more teams. That's how work is done in the world today. It's done in teams. Students working in teams rather than sitting in theater style in the classroom, but also teacher teams. We need to unlock the creativity, the tremendous creativity of our teachers, principals, and so on. Okay, next slide. My clicker is, okay, here we go. Let's go back one. Interdisciplinary approaches. Andreas referred to that in his presentation. The days are long gone where we just study math and geography and science, because the services and products we're using today are using information across disciplines and how they integrate together. Solving practical problems rather than abstract ones. Here is an example from Global Peace Foundation's Leap Hub project in Kenya, where this group of students from My Forces Academy, which is a public secondary school, came up with a blue drive that allows data to be transferred from a flash drive to your smartphone using Bluetooth technology. These are 16, 17-year-olds who came up with this. It doesn't exist on the market. They just graduated, and now they're actually working to launch this. They're working to launch this as a startup in their schools. So these are incubators that nurture entrepreneurship and leadership. We need a more of an emphasis on hands-on learning that mirrors the real world. This group of students here, also in Kenya from Alliance High School, came up with an efficient alternative source of fuel using paper charcoal briquette, and they're actually working with women in remote areas of Kenya on how to use that. We need a whole new emphasis on innovative professional development of teachers and principals. This is a project where we work with Google in Malaysia, where teachers were invited into Google headquarters, and they could experience what a modern company looks like, works like. Google is actually the #1 place to work for in the world right now. You can't teach this, you have to experience it. Going back to the experience as well. We need greater collaboration between schools and businesses, right? We are graduating students to the world of companies, organizations, and businesses. We need to actually get firsthand knowledge of how work is done in these businesses, right? This stuff also has to be measured. So we're actually testing right now a survey that measures these character and creativity standards. But it's not just us. PISA from OECD is also in the process of measuring this. So Andreas is actually one of the architects that we just had a few minutes ago of this 2030 framework from PISA that is not just measuring content, but also skills, attitudes, and values. And this actually already started in the 2015 PISA results that were released just a few months ago. You can see here on this slide here a correlation between the Character and Creativity Initiative and also the PISA 2030 framework. So education is a complex social problem. No single entity can solve it alone. What we're advocating here is public-private social partnerships that are working in a coordinated way to have real impact, where we can move education along to the next level. And finally, we're looking for revolutionary change. Typically in the world of education, things move very, very slow. If you see here on the slide here, the red line is the 21st century world. It's moving at lightning fast speed. The gray line here is our current education systems. Very meandering along, very slow. We need 2 red lines here, both moving in parallel and both moving with speed. Why? Because the situation is urgent. We need to get the 1.8 billion young people properly aligned for the 21st century. Thank you very much.